welcome Adam and William to the podcast. We've heard a lot about your work. It's a very exciting and interesting industry that you are a part of. Tell us about it. How did you get started, and how's it going now?
Do you want me to start that one, Will? I'll kick us off. So for those that can't see, I'm Adam. I'm the director of Robotic Systems, and Robotic Systems was started in my parents' garage in 2012, and in Sydney, in New South Wales. One thing led to another. I ended up jagging a contract with Orica to develop the next generation of their explosives control systems, which we still do to this day. Fast forward to 2026, Robotic Systems is now a team of 18 guys and girls based primarily on the east coast of Australia, with Will over in the west coast. We've had some fantastic growth in the mining industry over there, so I'll kick it over to Will to give his intro.
Yeah, so I suppose my story, I started in the industry in 2012, so around the same time as Adam, on a very different trajectory. So I started off as a machine operator up at Telford Gold Mine, and then worked through various roles, various operational roles, then onwards with Fortescue over the years. Got made redundant in 2023 and started working for Weir in their technology team, and was there for 2.5 years before joining Adam. So I've had a different pathway, which has ultimately led to developing mining tech.
Okay.
Amazing.
So guys, for somebody who's never worked in AI robotics, can you tell us a little bit about what your day actually looks like?
Yeah, I can have a crack at that one first. So for me, my day is split between two areas, really. Half of my time, so 60% of my time is talking to people about what their problems are and what previously hasn't been able to be solved. So like if you go back 5 years and beyond, what wasn't being able to be solved without the use of AI aiding mining technology, as to where we are today, where we can advance mining technology off the back of aided AI or aided sort of developments of AI. And the other part of my time is spent sort of running projects, so sort of helping the team keep them on the right track on technology development.
Yeah. And then Adam, what first sparked your interest in AI and robotics? Like, was there a moment you realized that was the career you wanted?
Or was it a natural progression?
So it was definitely more of it was actually kind of both. As a child, I was always kind of fixated on robots and things like that. And as time went on, I graduated mechatronics in 2010. And so that was kind of way before the whole AI thing. So I got really into computer vision and programming in non-AI based languages, right up until when Robotic Systems got really into AI in 2020. We basically started it in earnest. I started doing our first projects. So it was kind of like a bit of compulsion from a child through to now then evolving into it. Not that I get to write the code anymore, but I guess get to do sweet sales presentations. He gets to write the code these days, which kind of actually, I kind of transitioned out of the code writing pretty much at the same time as the AI thing kicked off, and we now had a pathway to run projects that had around artificial intelligence that had a beginning, middle, and end, and they weren't just completely esoteric research-based thought experiments. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Now, AI seems to be everywhere at the moment, and some people are obviously very excited about it and its potential. Others are a little bit worried about it. So, from your perspective, what are the biggest misconceptions people have about AI in robotics?
I'm going to throw this one to Will, because I know we go to a lot of conferences and we hear a lot of people talking about AI, and I know Will's got something boiling on this particular thing. So
Tell us, Will. Tell us the secret.
Yeah, so for me, and look, no disrespect to those in the industry that have talked about this at all, but for me, I feel there's mining industry across many conferences, there's a lot of focus around AI and the use of AI to do data analytics, process large data sets. And I think, you can go to any mining conference or any conference in that matter, and a lot of the chit chat will be, a lot of conversations will be around exactly that. And I think what's missing and what a lot of people don't realize is the unlock on mining technology development that AI poses. So where you've got hardware, software-based systems that harnessed by AI, and we can actually do software development to a degree utilizing AI. I think that's more where, for me, where the spark is, I suppose, rather than just the whole data analytics piece. And I think that's what gets missed by a lot of people. I might throw it back to Adam to sort of expand on that a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest amount of hype that's going on right now around AI, particularly in our world, which is mining, is guys and girls coming from out of industry, kind of latching onto concepts that they can understand. Stuff like safety, for instance, constantly safety applications. And every week there's another company doing some sort of bit of safety tech, usually with a camera, usually with an off-the-shelf AI model, picking out people wearing a hard hat or something like that within the vicinity of a heavy machine. That sort of thing is getting the most amount of noise in mining, and it also has the lowest value. And so we see a lot of the hype right now around those sort of things, and almost nothing around things that actually what the mines care about. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest misconception we're seeing right now.
So one of the projects that you would work on, for example, in this industry, what would that be?
Yeah, so right now we're doing a optical on excavator ore sorting system for Pilbara Lithium. But basically, we have developed a way to tell each excavator operator what is spodumene and what isn't on a bucket by bucket basis. And by characterizing what's in the bucket and telling that operator what he's got is a massive commercial upside for the mine. And so in order to build a machine like that, we haven't been able to just go grab an off-the-shelf neural network. We've had to kind of roll our own specifically for Pilbara Lithium, with the PhD guys that we have on staff here, to actually be able to develop something, new and novel. So yeah, that's kind of our jam. That's what we're working on at the moment.
And I'd like to continue that conversation about application, because from what I see, application is incremental, isn't it? It's about taking those small problems and then using automation or data to basically solve those issues. So as you've mentioned, adding cameras, adding more oversight, adding more security layers. But then we read a lot of sensationalized highlights about what's going on in China, for example, with their humanoid robots. I mean, what is the actual reality of that hype, and what is the actual application of that in a real world market?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a running joke that Will and I have with each other around like those sort of humanoid robots, the dancing dogs, and all that sort of things. Yeah. I see them at mining trade shows, right? And they're just dancing around on the trade show floor. I haven't come across one on site. 15 years, haven't seen one on site. Seen a bunch of them at trade shows. Talk to the sales guys about how they got it, and they're always saying, "Yeah, we just had the marketing budget at the end of this year." And when you've got $1 billion company, they've got 100 grand, 200 grand left over at the end of the year. They blow it on one of those dancing dogs, and they dance around on the stand, and everybody says it's innovation. there's a big disconnect for me between all the stuff you see on the dancing humanoid robots, and then you look at all their marketing and communication materials, and they've got these fantastic demos, and then you look at kind of their industry applications, and it's all like AI generated imagery. It's not real. Say they're in mining, you go look at their applications, and the applications are nonsense. Like they're like placeholder text. It's like they've never been to a mine. They just like thought, oh, I could use it for mining, and there's just absolutely no substance to it. So I'm trying to find one. We're trying to find applications for these things. We think it'll come. I don't know where and when, because we need the economics and the practicalities would all need to stack up, because where we operate is far away from major centres. We operate in the regions, some of the most remote parts of Australia. I don't know how we would keep one of those humanoid robots running with the skill sets that we have available on the mine. So I'm trying to work out how that's going to be a thing. Massive disconnect for me between what you see on the internet and then what's happening in industry. At least from what I've seen.
I think just to follow on from that as well, I think like a lot of these humanoid robots and everything that falls into that bucket, if you have a look at, the robot was built before the use case was presented, and that's just, I think there's a lot of technology, robotics, automation, AI, where you need to define what the use case is first, and build the solution, build the automation around that, as opposed to let's build this walking dog and then go find a fit for it in the industry. And I think that's what's happened here with some of these robots, is they built these robots and look at all this cool stuff we can do. What's the use case? Now, okay, cool. Well, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go and try and find a use case and make it fit my use case. Should be the other way around. We should be understanding the use case and then
it's like drones back in 2015.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, obviously, this is a really rapidly moving space, robotics and AI. How do you keep up with, legalities? How do you keep up with regulation changes? It must be quite an ongoing process.
I'll have a go at this one. There's, in terms of regulations and stuff like that, it's just, there kind of isn't any. Like there's a lot of, the only kind of regulations that you have on those sort of things are, your standard, electromagnetic interference. You ever flip over like an electronic device you've got in the house and have like a little CE logo on it. Those sort of things where it has to get tested for like emissions and like safety for plugging into a power point, that sort of thing. That's kind of the only standards that really apply. Generally, like, because most applications are not what you'd call life in the loop. There's no human life at risk, so it's just like some sort of mining optimization problem. And if the machine breaks down, it's like, mining efficiency goes down a little bit. Nobody dies, so you kind of don't really have any safety stuff really with any of them. Like, because they're not that big, they're not that heavy, and they don't carry any weight responsibility of a human.
Yeah. Should everyday people be worried about AI? Do you think like the fears are misunderstood, for example?
I'll have a crack. My answer is no. I think if you have a look at just last week, Channel 7 News, I can't remember the article, but every second day there's this media hype, and I think the biggest problem around AI is actually what the media perceive it to be, and what the media are doing around job losses and this person's job and everything else. I think the reality of it is, in my personal opinion, is yes, to a degree, maybe X person's daily function changes, but their job isn't gone. Their job is just redefined.
Yes.
The actual physical employment of the human isn't gone. And I think this worrying fear around AI and what media in the news is making it seem like is actually, it's not factual. It's fake news. And the other portion of this is, you've got to remember, think about when when we're all different ages across this audience here. But think about when you come out of school. Everyone came out of school or went through school at different changes in the technology curve. Mobile phones went to smartphones. You saw people had desktop computers to laptops, and now in schools they use laptops in everyday life. So you think about the changes through adoption of technology through schooling years. People that are coming out of school, you've got to also remember, people that are coming out of school and going through uni have entered into that world where AI is part of it. So therefore, the thought process on how they're educated and how they are trained and what sort of daily life looks like, it looks like that with it already in it. It's just like when people used to have a phone, and now phones are like people don't go anywhere without a mobile phone.
Yeah,
absolutely right, William. I remember when the internet came out, and I was still in high school, and I remember thinking, oh wow, and there was a lot of resistance to that. And then the internet just became a part of our regular duties. It sort of expanded horizons and sped up a lot of processes. But often when we have new technology, it's that initial learning phase, isn't it? That where we haven't quite defined its limits, and so we create so there's a bubble, I guess, there. Do you think we're still inside the AI bubble, or is there a bubble? Do you think it will burst?
So yeah, it's a good question. I'll start off, and then I might sort of throw it to Adam. But I think you'll see an aspect of where some of it bursts. There's a portion of it where some will and some won't. And what I mean by that, I think it'd be fair to say that there's a large population of people these days that is using some form of AI to do their daily research. And I think so. You look at, like, you talk about the internet as a good example. You jump on Google right now and you want to Google, I don't know, which is the next best brand of washing machine to go and buy for XYZ reasons.
Yeah.
10 years ago, you would jump on Google and find it, and you'd get a truthful answer out of Google. Whereas now, because of the amount of ads that filter through it, the first top things that are listed is actually like sort of ad driven as opposed to sort of the truthful answer. So I think in that respect, using AI to run a generic search because I want to figure out, well, is it a Samsung washing machine versus a Westinghouse? Tell me the pros and cons. Fine. And I think that bubble eventually will burst. What I don't see bursting is some of the more advanced pieces of AI. And Adam, any thoughts?
Yeah, pretty much that. Like, there's everybody right now. Often we search around when we're looking for new team members, and we'll search through LinkedIn and things like that. And you type in AI, and it's everybody. It's dredging up guys that have like a sports coaching business, and they're saying they're an AI expert. And there's software developers also saying they're an AI expert. And you're just like, what is going on here? And it's this really broad definition of what is AI. And I think there'll be this kind of correction coming up soon as to how people describe what it is they do. I think, for the guys that are the distinction between those that are developing AI and then those that are using it will kind of get further and further apart, and there'll be a distinguishment that happens there. How long that is away, I don't know. But I can definitely see that it's kind of coming, because I can feel there's a general frustration when people are talking to others about skills and capabilities that it's quite opaque and maybe is being read as sometimes being deliberately opaque. And so I kind of think that's the bubble that'll burst. But when that happens, I don't know.
I couldn't agree more, guys. I think the AI, the whole entire scene has been hyped, through various channels, and people are starting to realize what it can and can't do. I mean, with code, I think it tends to be pretty good, black and white, either works or it doesn't. But when it comes to research, as you mentioned, William, for washing machines, say Westinghouse versus a Philips, it can have a tendency of lying. And going back to your point again, William, there with advertising, quite rightfully, Google started off as a pretty factual platform, but once you scroll through the adverts and the Google Places and now AI that has been inserted into the whole mix, you don't land an actual result until quite a fair way down the page. How long before advertising starts to play a role in AI results, and how will we even know the difference? But coming back to robotics, you know, in an ideal world, we see everything working really well from a process to integration point of view. What are some of the challenges that you guys have actually faced in real world applications?
Do you want to go, Will?
There are no challenges. Everything's going great.
I'm just like, oh, so many.
Yeah. Start with the top 5.
Top 5. All right. Well, so I guess the first challenge we get is just around the expectation management of projects that actually involve artificial intelligence. Most minds or most large businesses are used to buying a project where they've got a problem, we've got a solution, you know, we provide a solution, and at the end it's handed over and it's done. When you've got, and that works for every single classical style project. When you've got an AI component that is now being delivered as part of that project, some sort of like custom neural network, or that has this different project life cycle that a lot of companies are starting to only just start to come to terms with. In that, once you've started the project, and it's being completed, and you say put that machine into a different part of the mine, you may need to do another block of work to actually retrain the neural networks to actually make them do what you want. A lot of customers are only just starting to learn about this and have this change in expectations around how AI projects are run and need to be viewed and need to be budgeted. So that's probably kind of like one overarching thing that we notice. I mean, there's a million technical things that are going on, but like just from a project point of view, that's kind of what we see a bit of at the moment. But it's getting better.
I think to add to that as well, and coming back to sort of something I said previously around like this hype around where most people focuses on AI around just processing large data sets, is a lot of people unaware that some of these undiscovered technologies, like, you know, if you think you're a mine manager, for example, of a mine, and you've got this problem that, you know, you face day in, day out, and it's costing you X amount of tons or dollars, you know, a day. The vision that maybe something is possible, a technology is possible because of the adoption of AI, but I think people's ability to actually see that vision, to see that is even possible, I think that's a gap as well. We're seeing like people don't have the ability to see or forecast the possibilities as well as AI suggests we have, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing there's a gap between expectations and reality, and then there's a real art there to manage those expectations for the end user.
Yeah, that's right. It's like they're going from like being introduced to this whole new world of new way of doing projects, which ultimately they want to get into, right? Because it's now we can provide, like, there's a pathway to a solution, whereas previously there was no pathway. So it's just around kind of like, you know, everybody learning about it. So yeah.
Yeah. And since working in this field, what's something you've learned that's really surprised you?
You go, Will.
I think, yeah, I've got a good one actually. So I think, again, cautious on a lot of businesses out there that this could potentially affect down the track. But my personal view is software. So I think like something to be said where you've got adoption of hardware, but I think pure software solutions. One thing that I have only just started to realize in the last couple of months, the further we've gotten into technology projects with the use of AI or aided by AI, is where I think some of these software companies that have been running very successful software platforms for 20, 30 years, I think there's a level of where 10 years ago, a company would engage with X company to buy a software solution because it did X, Y, Z things, and it was like, you know, leader on the market, everything else worth every cent. think starting to see a transition where some of these software solutions may become a little bit devalued by AI because of how quickly now you can generate software off the back of using AI to help generate it, write code, etc. Something would have taken years to develop 10 years ago can be done in 12 months, and I think that's sort of something we're starting to see that poses an interesting sort of player in the software world.
That's quite interesting, Willie. I just want to pick up on that point, because unless they start to incorporate AI in some kind of a way within their software, right? Like we are seeing, for example, digress here, but like Netflix and all those streaming channels will start to incorporate AI into their platforms, or other software tools that actually are for productive purposes start to incorporate AI in some ways. But they also, again, probably like with everybody else in the industry, is figuring out, and a lot of those solutions and integrations can be a little bit gimmicky at this stage.
Definitely mostly gimmicks. There's a lot of just AI where it doesn't need to be. There's and it's just not it's not needed. Constantly every browser now on the internet's trying to jam AI down your throat.
Microsoft.
Microsoft at every turn, every time you open a document, and you're like, oh, no problem, I'll just switch over to Google, and it's worse, and it's got everywhere, and you're like, all right, that's it. We're going to Linux. It's only move left is to go full open source and Kudaka mode.
And a good example we use as like our internal messaging system, we use Slack, which is well-known sort of platform in the industry outside of Teams. I only noticed end of last week, a little banner popped up at the bottom of Slack saying, your organization can now preview Slackbot's AI's ability. Learn more. That wasn't there before. So now this is like an AI add-on that's just sort of crept into the Slack platform. That's like
and now you can add that. And just really quickly, because this we learned about this a little while ago about copyright, and how people who are, again, exploiting out onto AI platforms will quite happily switch from Gemini to Copilot to some other tool, and they'll be asking questions within those tools. Now, those questions they're asking, for guys like yourselves, potentially you have research that's sensitive, market sensitive. A lot of companies out there don't really know that when they're punching in those queries into those different chatbots, they're actually uploading and training those bots with their information about their industry. And then who owns that data? Have you guys given that consideration and a bit of mitigation?
Yeah, we absolutely have. So like there's with some of the projects that we're on, we are handling sensitive mine data. So for any of that sort of work, we're actually running it all of our own infrastructure, so that the data never leaves the premises, and that can't be used on any of those online things. And so our team's pretty good, right? Because they're all like, coding guys and stuff like that. They all get it. Where I think you're going to run into never-ending amount of issues is with a general workforce that, rather than like preparing this document or editing a document, they're just going to upload the whole thing and just be like, do it, Gemini, and next minute they've uploaded all this sensitive data straight to Google, a whole organization's members list or whatever it might be, and it's gone. It's gone.
I'm also curious, what is something that people think AI can do, but it really can't?
Safety stuff. Stuff. Because there's, I kind of always talk about safety stuff in this, because when you're building a neural network, it's graded in terms of a confusion matricing. So how many times it gets it wrong, and it's a non-zero number, right? So it's like quite non-deterministic a lot of the time, and when you're throwing these kind of like highly unstructured scenarios at it, it can't be that well relied upon. So yeah, I think a lot of the safety stuff for me is where it always falls over. So yeah.
I would also agree, and just to add to that, I was out walking with an ex-colleague of mine over a coffee a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about AI and in around safety, right? And we got to the stage where the discussion that we were having was, let's just say, for example, AI, which is the way it's going, becomes adopted into the use of daily traffic, motor vehicles. So you think like Tesla's got this sort of auto drive function, right, where it can take you from your house to the destination, navigate traffic, and all the rest of it. And this sort of technology is coming. The question I suppose you got to ask, and what I was talking to my friend about was, if you get to the stage where multiple different cars are interacting with themselves on a public road with some sort of AI layer, and then there's an accident, and it's determined through sort of like some litigation investigation that the accident was caused due to a mishap in the AI, who's at fault? Like there's
Exactly.
the whole accountability piece. Like, is it the person that created the bot or that created the ILA originally? Is that company the ones at fault? Like, or is it still the driver because there's a human behind the wheel? So therefore, the human behind the wheel should have the right to override the system that's operating on its behalf. Like, I think this is where like the whole safety piece of the conversation around, if something goes wrong, where's the accountability?
Yeah,
Exactly, and that's exactly right, guys. There's a lot of gray areas there, and I think those things will be defined likely through user cases, and going back to uploading data to random chatbots. Exactly right. I mean, if that information is leaked, then who's at fault? Is it the company's policy? Is it the staff member that uploaded? Is it the chatbot that leaked that information? So all of that is yet to be defined, I think, through user cases. Which the best thing to do, like with anything, is probably not to rush in too wholeheartedly into the whole entire hype.
and still why humans are needed to guide the whole process.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well around AI is, one thing that AI can't do is it can't create the original data set at this point in time. So when you're looking at like AI that's then working off data, that data has to come from somewhere. The data has to be generated by a human to start with.
Right. Yeah.
If someone listening was thinking about a career in AI or robotics, what advice would you give them? Are there any skills or ways of thinking that will really help them be valuable?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's probably a couple of things you need to kind of want to get into. Going and picking up the off the shelf AI models like YOLOs and stuff like that, and plugging them in. That's not being an AI engineer. That's kind of just standard fare these days. No matter what you put on LinkedIn. If you want to actually get into it, you need to kind of get into learning the underlying structure of the neural networks, and getting into things like the TensorFlow and stuff like that. That's where you can actually get some real ability to make some custom neural networks that actually can build things that actually do something very, very good. So if you're thinking about a career, I think maths is a good place to start, and data science is probably where I'd be going as anybody that's looking to get into it.
Right. And what do you think in the next 5 or 10 years, what are you most excited about? Or what do you hope AI and robotics will be able to achieve?
You go, Will. I've got a couple of ideas. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's a good question. I don't know that I have a quick answer for it though.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go then. So I guess what I'm excited for is, like, right now we're in this transitional period from our largest customers looking at the whole AI thing and be like, yeah, it looks really cool. Saw some like very high level wishy-washy presentations at conferences. Don't really get it. Kind of reminds me of drones in 2015. Probably just going to wait. That waiting period is kind of ending, and now the real opportunities are kind of opening up. All the stupid ones are kind of burning off, and the really good ones are starting to kind of come into the forefront. And so, kind of what I'm excited about is that kind of deal, like sort of opportunities starting to open up. And the other part is I'm really looking forward to, right now there's a big monopoly by one particular company called NVIDIA on AI hardware, and that's causing AI, like price of AI compute, to like go up over time rather than down, which is just bizarre. And so I'm looking forward to there being a correction there, just like there was a correction when Nokia were the number one mobile phones, and then iPhone came out and Nokia got destroyed. Maybe I'm showing my age a little bit here, but that was
they were hardy phones though, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right. And when that transition happened, nobody could believe it, and I'm certain it'll happen with this with NVIDIA, and I'm really looking forward to that because I think it's going to unlock a bunch of opportunities that currently are now behind a paywall of just you can't afford the computers to do it, even though that there's not really any reason why you can't. So other than a commercial, so yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, and where do you guys see, I guess, the company headed over the next 5-10 years? Any insights you could give us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess where we're going is Robotic Systems in the history of business has largely been a design company working on behalf of mining equipment manufacturers, or the OEMs. Today, we now work directly with the mines. And so that's kind of, for us, unlocked all these great new opportunities to get in there and talk directly to the guys with the problem at hand and kind of solve it for them directly. And so kind of where we're going is we're going not just working with companies in Australia or mines within Australia, we're going international, working with mines overseas, and taking Australian developed mining technology to the rest of the world.
Well, our podcast is called One Conversation, One Breakthrough. If our listeners could take away just one breakthrough or one shift in perspective about AI, what would you want that to be?
That's a big question. You can take a moment.
I would sort of sum it up with, like, we recently took on a project over in Ghana, which is a sort of a bit of an out there project. I can't go into the details, but I would say is that conversation started off with if you could pull out your magic wand from Harry Potter and wave it around and something would appear tomorrow, click of the fingers, that fixes something for you, that's creating, that would give you a huge commercial upside or whatever it is, what would that be? And so we recently had a few months back, had that conversation with a customer, and now we have this project which is utilizing AI as a portion of the software model to then be able to make decisions or give them a decision support sort of function for an area of their business. And I think in answer to your question, it's encouraging every individual out there that's on a mine or works for a contractor or even works for an OEM to start thinking like that. Think about what is it that you thought was never possible. What is that magical thing that you thought didn't exist? Wave the magic wand and now it's there. And the reality of it is, with where we're at in 2026 with technology and then harnessing technology with AI, it probably is possible.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well said.
Well said, Will. Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's the sum up takeaway, guys. Look, you're in a really exciting industry. With a real bright future. It's a personal passion of mine, which is why I was the primary driver behind organizing today's conversation. Michelle sort of tagged along for the ride. But I really appreciate you guys jumping on board today, obviously with work schedules and everything else that's pressing. Look, again, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and we look forward to hearing and seeing more from you guys out there. If there's anyone who wants to get in touch, find out more about your services or just about yourselves individually, what's the best way to do so?
Shoot me an email. Website's roboticsystems.com.au. Shoot me an email on there or look me up on LinkedIn. My name is Adam Amos.
Yeah, For me, probably just up on LinkedIn. So Will Brinson or William Brinson on LinkedIn. Yeah.
We'll put all those down in the little thing below so everyone can find you.
Beautiful.
Right.
Again, thank you guys, and we look forward to watching this space.
Thank you.
1, 2,